guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to be creating content for you guys. I have so many ideas planned, like so many. So stay tuned, but I thought it would be best to start off with my viral hippie hair wraps. You guys seem to absolutely love these and you always are asking for a longer tutorial, so I thought, why not start off with doing a hippie hair wraps tutorial of my I think it's three favorite designs that I do. So let's get into it. We're gonna start off with the easiest design first, and then we're gonna go to the most difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but it is a little harder than the first design. But before we get into it, let me tell you the things that you're going to be needing. I have embroidery floss, which is kind of the most common thing that I use, and I buy the bulk bag where there's like a ton of different colors for really affordable. I have this huge variety. They're all pretty much tangled up right now, but I got this huge variety of like ribbons and all different like textures. Like there's sparkly ones and there's this fuzzy one that's my favorite that we're actually going to be using. Oh, there it is. There's the end. But we're going to actually be using this for our first one, so I'm going to set that aside. But I got this big bulk pack at Michael's. I get a lot of my ribbons, type beads, all kinds of things from Michael's. But there are so many different kinds of things in here with so many fun textures, and I think it looks really cool in your hair. Also, hemp cording is another one of my favorites. I got this from Michael's as well. And why I like this is because with the embroidery thread, it gets easily frayed when you're trying to string on beads, because for the last most difficult design, we string beads on to get a really cool, fun look. And it's just easier to string the beads onto a cord because it doesn't fray like that. You can also use yarn. Yarn is easy to use. I always have yarn on hand because I love to crochet. The first style that we're going to be doing is the braided into the hair. And in my opinion, it's kind of the easiest to start off with. First of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of hair. My mirror's over here, so if I'm gonna be looking over here for a duration of the video, but I'm just gonna grab a chunk of hair from behind my ear. So when you're wrapping your hair, you have this long piece, right? But it's always going to be folded in half like this. So when you get out your piece of yarn, you're going to want to make sure that you have it folded in half like this. And then if you have a piece that's not already cut, you're going to want to cut it to be the length of your hair plus more length. And for this look, you're going to want to have like a little bit extra just in case. Better to have more than less. Okay, so this is the crucial part of hair wrapping, is making sure that you have a very tight knot at the top of the piece of hair or the braid, because you do not want the wrapping to slip out. So I'm just tying a double knot at the top of my hair. And then if you want to be super safe, because I usually leave these in for quite a few days, I take the two pieces, bring it to the back, as you can see here, and I double knot it in the back as well. Okay, so making sure that it's all nice, tight, and secure, we're going to take our pieces. So we have one piece and one piece here, and we're going to be using this piece as the third strand of our braid. So we're going to take our hair and split it in half. So now we have 1, 2, 3 strands, and this is going to act as the third strand of your braid. And you're just going to braid it all the way down. I don't know if you guys can see, but the fuzzy texture is just so cute and I love it. Here it is up close. Isn't it so cute? I just love this one. You can also do it with, of course, your embroidery floss. I like to do it where I can add like maybe 2 strands of like different colors, so then there's a bunch of different colors going on. But experiment, do like different like ribbons or yarns or whatever, but this one's the easiest and I would recommend starting off with this one. But yeah, pretty simple. This is what the next one is going to be. So basically we're just going to braid first. So grab a piece of hair. Basically what you do is just do one long braid. So I'm going to do that and I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so there's the braid. I selected a embroidery thread that's super vibrant and white, so you guys can really see what I'm doing. Again, fold your piece in half, and I'm just going to measure it to the top all the way to the bottom of my hair, but I'm going to want to put quite a bit more just because this one requires more wrapping than the previous one. Okay, so Now we're going to knot it same way that we did the other one, double knot in the front and double knot in the back, because this one slips a little easier because it's not like secured into the braid, if you know what I mean. Okay, so my embroidery floss is all tied in and I have my braid and my floss. So I'm going to be taking both sides of the embroidery floss on the sides of the braid, and I'm just going to be crisscrossing them back and forth in front of the braid and then behind. And then I like to switch it up a little by every two, just kind of doing a little bit of a wrapping just a few times and then continuing with the X pattern that we did. So we're just bringing it behind, making it as relatively even as possible. So just keep wrapping in front and in the back and forward. And then at the end, I usually like to wrap it a couple times around the rubber elastic, just because I like to try to hide it a little bit. And then now that the threads are facing this way, I like to double knot it at the end. And then we just trim the ends. Okay, so here it is finished up close. These ones in particular, I leave in for quite a while just because if you knot them correctly, they're not gonna slip out. We have our first one and our second one done. And now we're on to the final one that I think is the most difficult. So let's get into it. This one I like to make right at the top just because it does have the cool beads in it and stuff. So I like it to be a little more noticeable. And we're just gonna braid it like normal, just so one normal braid, just like we did on the other side. So the braid is finished. And now we're going to take our hemp cord, because remember that's easier for stringing the beads on. So I have my cord and we're gonna do the same thing that we've been doing, fold it in half, length of hair, double knot top, double knot back, and I'm gonna do that real fast. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 strands. So this is our braid. These are the 2 strands of the braid, and the braid is the 3rd strand. So make sure to keep your beads on hand because we're gonna be needing them. I like to use wooden beads when I'm doing this just because they usually come with a bigger hole, so it's easier to string in. I have these cutesy little ones with stars. I got these wooden ones from Michael's. You can use any bead just as long as the hole is big enough. I like using wooden beads for this just because they're a little less heavy. Glass beads tend to get a little heavy when you add a bunch of them on. So make sure to keep these close by. So basically you just start it off like a normal braid by braiding it together, and it may feel a little bit awkward at first. Here comes the part that I'm going to be putting on my first bead. So take your bead, string your bead onto the cord. It's easier as it goes on, but once it's near the top, it's kind of hard to see, so it's a little more difficult. So we're just going to squeeze it to where we ended off on the braid, and we're just going to put it right in front of the braid so it's facing front. So just continue braiding until you want to add another bead. And then just continue with your braid and keep adding beads whenever you want to. It doesn't matter, there doesn't have to be like a specific pattern if you don't want there to be. Okay, so I kind of have a little bit of a problem that I kind of didn't match them up perfectly when I tied it, which is totally fine. I'll just make it work. But that's why you make sure you have enough cut and like longer, because this does tend to happen. I have to tie this one off differently because of the length difference, but if I didn't, I would just tie it the same as this one, just double knot it at the bottom. Okay, and here's this one up close. As you can see, I just kind of put the beads in randomly. I've put like crystals in, I've put all kinds of different things, but you can literally put any kind of bead and crystal in just as long as it has a big enough hole to string onto the cording. You could be done with this if you wanted to, but you could also add some charms. I have a bunch of different charms. I have moon ones, peace signs, suns, all kinds of different ones, but you could add some of them if you wanted to, just scattered throughout the braid, just to add something, just to add another funky element. And I can show you how I do that. I have these very large jump rings that I use just so it can wrap around cord, wrap around the braid just really easily, and I can see it just because it is big enough. So I gently just poke it through the braid, and then I use my pliers to kind of move it around, and as you can see, you can just add something fun. So I'm going to add a couple more, like some stars and things like that. I added a moon, a star, and a peace sign. I think it just adds something fun and extra. And another way that I add in my charms is to the bottom of the elastics. And you add the jump ring to the rubber band part, and you have a little something extra to the bottom of your braid. Those are the 3 that I like to use most commonly. I have another type that I use that you guys are probably thinking of when you do hair wraps that looks like this. And the reason that I don't show you this one is because I don't actually tie those physically into my hair. I make them separately so I can add them to my hair with clips. I do this only because those are a really huge pain to get out, and it takes a lot of time just for it to be in for like a couple months, but you can make them that they can last like forever, you know? So I can show you guys how to make those. If you're interested, I will make a separate video on how to make those with embroidery floss, with different patterns and designs and things like that. So let me know if you're interested in that. Another one of the first braid that we did, just to show you guys something else that I like to do to pizzazz them up. So I already have my chunk of hair that I decided to do, and I'm gonna actually pick like a few different colors to put in. I decided on purple and blue just because I love purple and blue together. So I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with the first one and use these as the 3rd strand of the braid. I found this little ribbon piece that I wanted to put in, so I'm gonna throw that one in there as well. And then of course with this one, we don't have to knot the bottom just because it's already really secured in with the elastic. Okay, so here's this one up close. I really like how thick this one is with the cording, like how thick it looks like part of the braid. Like I literally have a blue strand of hair, and I really love how that looks. I have a bunch of these hair cuffs that I like to add, and you can get these on Etsy, and I like to add them to the ones that are like with this one, it just kind of wouldn't be like as good, but the ones that you braid into the hair, I kind of like adding just a few hair cuffs just to pizzazz it up a little bit. And it's super easy to do, and yeah, that's all there is to it. You just wrap it right around. Now I have this sun and moon charm that I'm just going to add to the end of the elastic on that braid that we just did. And here we have them all up close so you can see them a little better. And that is it. Those are the 3 different designs that I like to use for my hair wraps. Let me know if you want a tutorial on that one that I was talking about earlier. But thank you guys so much for being here. I am so excited for this journey with YouTube. I have so many ideas to share with you guys, and I cannot wait to share them with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have the best day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that jazz. But thank you so much. Again, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Have the best day. Bye.